Hi, and welcome to the Glow Interviews. My name is Katie Oman. I am an author, psychic, motivational speaker, and coach. The Glow Interviews is a place where we can talk to some really amazing and talented people who are going to light us up. I know that we're talking to them, we're going to feel empowered, inspired, and hopeful of a brighter future. All of the contact details for myself and my guests will be in the description box under here. So if you want to contact either of us, please feel free to reach out. Today's guest is a healer, speaker, poet, and presenter, Alexandra Wenman. She focuses on bringing the out there in here. And like something, I really can't wait to talk to you about that one. Alexandra has produced 2 poetry books to date, Poems of Precious Wisdom and Poetry of Light, as well as a children's book entitled Dear Little Angels. She hosts the Alexandra Wenman Show on her YouTube channel and is releasing her brand new Oracle deck, Archangel Fire Oracle, in April 2021. It's exciting. Talking to Alexandra is always such a joy, and I am so thankful she's agreed to be here with me today. So hi Alexandra, how are you doing?
Hey Katie, thank you so much for having me, honey. It's
You're
so great
welcome.
to see you.
It's always really weird when someone reads your bio, you're like, I'm pretty awesome actually.
Yeah, I was like, hi, have I done all that? Or you just kind of hide.
Exactly. So look, we have to address this elephant in the room. There's no getting away from it at the moment. 2020 has been crazy, right? So how have you been coping, and have you been able to find any blessings in this chaos that we're living in right now?
I have. I think we're being really, really tested, and I think we're being really shaken up. The one thing I keep going back to is that, well, I channel, and about 8 months to a year before this started happening, I started having some very strange, almost panic attacks in my body, very strange sensations and things going on, and I didn't know what was happening. I couldn't see the wood for the trees really, and I knew it wasn't related to something necessarily in my personal life. It felt kind of bigger than that. Yeah. And then I got this very strong message probably about 8 months ago, 8 months before this all started, and this huge angelic protection team sort of came in around me. I was sitting on the tube at the time, and I was like, well, you know, what are you guys doing here? Please don't tell me there's going to be a terror attack. This is big level protection coming in. Right. And they said, no, you're not to worry. We're putting this around everybody because it's about to be the changing of the guard. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that means. And then they sort of said, well, we're going to be people who are more in their integrity are going to actually be given a bit more of a chance to shine here. Like they're going to be stepping more into positions of leadership and influence, and basically the people not in their integrity are going to start to be shoved out of the way, or be given their wake up call really. And I mean, we have parts of that in all of us. So every single person is getting tested at the moment as to whether or not we're really in our integrity. Are we really walking our talk? Are we really staying on our path? Especially those of us in the spiritual industry. You know, it's not enough just to be out there being a show pony. We actually are here to help people and to support people. And we're here to go through it, to walk that path ourselves. So I've had interesting times. I've had some very, very difficult challenges on a personal level, but I've also had a really lovely time to kind of be at home with the hubby and reconnect with nature. And as I think we all have, you know, it's all about taking stock really about what really matters to us, I think, in the grand scheme.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think we were all on this hamster wheel, right? And it was like, most of us were not happy. Most of us were so busy, so stressed, you know, overwhelmed, overwrought, but we couldn't get off the wheel. Yeah, and I do feel like it was almost, like you say, this like reset button of like, okay, everybody just stop, right? And of course, it sounds awful because of course people have lost people and people have really been suffering, and you wouldn't want that for anybody. But it's, without, with all due respect, it's kind of to see the bigger picture of why this is happening to the whole world, because it is the whole world, of course. So yeah, it's not fun, but you know,
it's
hopefully
not fun. That's the thing. They do say it's always darkest before the dawn, and you know, it's we're going through a very tricky time, and for a lot of people don't really even know how they're feeling about the whole thing, or what they're feeling, you know, especially the empaths. A lot of us are feeling each other on a massive scale, really, really intensely. And so, you know, I kind of wake up every day and need to center and ground and really find my center. And this is something that I've been teaching to people in my workshops and courses for a long time. But the simple centering techniques are the bits that are really, really coming in handy at the moment, where we just find our own neutral place of just neutral harmony, you know, find your center, to come back from everything that's going on out there, draw your focus in for a bit and find your safe zone, find your equilibrium again. I live in a salt bath. I find that's my sanctuary, my way of just cocooning myself from the whole world. And yeah.
Bless you, bless you. So of course all the work you do is focused on angels and archangels. So have you always had this connection with them since you were a child, or has it been something that's developed as you've gotten older?
I've always had it. Yeah, I had it when I was a kid. I remember being able to see them. I remember being able to feel them. I shut it down for many years when I was a teenager. When I went to school, they kind of systematically churned it out of me. I think Catholic school, even though they teach about angels, it's like, no, you couldn't possibly see them. You're a girl and a child. What are you talking about? It's just your imagination, of course. Only the priest can see that. So it sort of really reawoke massively. I guess when I was around 21 and I first moved to London, I mean, I'd had the call to kind of awaken, if you will. When I was 14, it seemed to happen in 7-year increments. But when I was 14, I said no. I could feel spirit in the room around me, and I was kind of getting the nudge, you know, we're here. And I just went, no, I don't want to see dead people or anything. So 7 years after that, I didn't know what I was getting myself into, really. I was just like, oh, cool, I'll move to the other side of the world. I've followed this ex-boyfriend over here and thought this will be easy because I speak English and I'm sure everyone's really friendly in England and it's all going to be great. And most people are, but London is a very big, cold city. And if you don't know people here, it was terrifying for little old me. And then at the same time, I had a lot of, I think a lot of ancestry here and things like that. So my body started reacting to all of the layers of energy here as well. So you've got so much history. Yeah. And I think I was having early past life memories when I first got here. I went into terror, sort of got off the plane and started having these real deep terror attack. Like I sound like I'm having panic attacks all the time talking about this, but it's a very strange thing. My body does react to stuff if there's energy afoot. And then I'm clairvoyant as well, so I need to tune in and figure out what that is. But at that age, I didn't know how to do that. So I was just being barraged with my emotions, as a lot of people are these days, and they don't know how to interpret it. So, but I had a visitation from my great grandmother at that time, and my mediumship opened up, and it was shortly after that I sort of reconnected to the angels again. Broke up with that then boyfriend, and the angels were there every step of the way. You know, I kept seeing signs, I kept getting personal messages from them, and then I started channeling, and it's just never switched off again. It's developed from there. But you know, it's such a, you know, people who say, oh, you know, what are angels, and they're all woo woo, and that's the whole point, bringing me out there in here. I see them as, well, they are guardians of light, but if we're looking at it from a very multi-dimensional perspective, they're aspects of ourselves. And I think whether or not you believe an angel exists, they are a wonderful tool to walk your talk, to come into your integrity and try to live your life from a mindset of love. So the messages that come with each angel, and definitely each archangel, I think they're principles to live by. And that's the simplest way of putting it. You know, you live by that love and that essence and that integrity, and you know, you can't go wrong. You just keep aligning to your purpose.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, my own journey, I spiritually awakened 10 years ago, and the angels have always kind of let me know of their presence throughout my life, but like you, I kind of shunned it. And you know, when you've been bullied for being different, you don't want to be even more different, you know what I mean? It's like, no, I'll just fit in. But then it was 5-6 years ago now, maybe a bit longer, it was like I did this angel course, and it was like, once you let them in, it's like, why didn't I do this years ago? This is wonderful. It's like, if you haven't reached out to your angels, I really recommend that you do. There's lots of books out there. So, to guide you initially, but you don't really need the help. You can do it yourself. Just call on them, ask them, just bring them near. They're always with you, right? It's just a case of connecting to them.
That's it. And they'll never steer you wrong. One thing I find, sometimes the tests are tough. Like, you know, it's not all light and fluffy, I have to say, because if you're heading down the wrong path for your purpose, sometimes the rug can come out from under you. And that's definitely when you're working with angelic energy and divine energy, because if you're not on your highest path, and if you're not really being true to yourself, if you're letting people get away with stuff that they shouldn't be, or if you're not maybe living according to your integrity, you'll be kicked off your perch. You know, I can't not follow my highest truth, because if I've steered off the path at times, and I've been kicked in the butt, and it's not pretty. It's not
Me
fun.
too.
Yeah,
so
they really do have our highest interests at heart, but the love that they come with is unconditional love. It really is that love without judgment. So they'll bring you blessings like you wouldn't believe, the love and the beauty and the things that you get to see unfold in your own life as well as the world over. But at the same time, you know, they'll bring you some hard truths if you're not looking, if your eyes aren't open. So, you know, it's powerful energy to work with. It's not to be it's not to be sniffed at, I suppose.
No, and of course I think a lot of people still think of them as being like, you know, fluffy and like on clouds playing harps and, you know, all that kind of.
And they can be,
but yeah, they will kick your ass if they need to. Good Lord, they've done it to me enough times. So what did you wish that you'd known when you started out your journey that you know now, whether that's personally or professionally? What do you wish that you'd like known, you know?
What do I wish I'd known? I can honestly say that if I knew how difficult the shadow work was going to be, I don't think I would have started on the spiritual path. I would have run for the hills. If I'd known the difficulties I've had to go through, I've really had to face a lot of stuff, and but I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm not trying to, scare the viewers or anything. It's really been worthwhile because I'm living my truth, I'm living my purpose, and the rewards are way better. I was climbing the wrong career ladder and all of that, but sometimes ignorance is actually bliss. There's certain things that I'm quite glad I didn't know until I had to walk through them, because I just don't think I would have. I don't think you can prepare for some of it. So one thing I do wish that I'd known is that I do have value, that my gifts have value, that my abilities have value, and that loving yourself has value. And when I was a child and when I was younger, I was terribly bullied and didn't value myself really. And if I could have fast forwarded to where I am now, I think I would just be like, wow, like I never would have envisaged what I'm doing now. And,
absolutely.
And it's sort of like, I do often go back and visit little me and tell her, come on, you got this, you're going to do great. So yeah, I don't know, there's not a lot I wish I did. There's not a lot I wish I could have known. I think I'm sort of for the surprises, but I still get frustrated in the not knowing about certain things.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you talk about, the shadow side, and if you'd have known about it and how hard it is. Like, I haven't written this question down, but it came to my head, so I think we should talk about it. I get annoyed, this is me being very honest, I get annoyed by a lot of the spiritual community who do what's called light washing and spiritual bypassing. And what that means is, for those that don't know, is that a lot of them want to look up to spirit and angels and love and light, and it's all very fluffy and rainbows and unicorns, and there's nothing wrong with that stuff. The stuff is wonderful, but they forget, they don't even want to acknowledge the shadow side or go down into the soul and the grime and the dirt, and it's all up, up, up. And the thing is, if you're going to be here as a human being, it's like you have to be both, because we're not, although we are spiritual beings, we're human as well, and that's murky and dirty and hard and all this sort of stuff, and to deny it means you're not living in your truth. And it really, really annoys me.
No. Well, the thing is, how can we love each other on every level? How can we really come into that unity consciousness if we can't love the deepest, darkest parts of ourselves? If we can't look into the belly of our shame and our jealousy and our anger and our bitterness and our rivalries, and still love ourselves and forgive ourselves and move through those emotions and hold ourselves in that, how are we going to do it for each other? You know, the ego is needed for survival, but it does play tricks on you. And it like still now, I mean, I do very, very deep work on myself, and I also have heal thyself. I also go to other healers that I rate very highly. So I do my due diligence, and I'm always looking at karmic patterns. One thing I am finding as well is that we are just a microcosm of the macrocosm. So you might have a theme coming up in your daily life, and then you might see a bigger version of that theme playing out globally. So every little bit we do for ourselves, we're also doing for each other, which I think is also like, it's not about rescue work or saving everybody, but every time you save yourself, you are actually healing the whole. And I love that. And I can see the patterns, in my own life and my clients' lives. And then you do healing on yourself, you'll also see a big change in the whole dynamic in your family, your friendships, and all your circles around you. It just has that amazing ripple effect. So
it really does.
worth doing it.
This like the most beautiful, loving crystal stone into a pond and watching those ripples go out. And that's why I love kindness, because when you're kind to somebody, it puts them in such a good mood, and they feel so blessed and so happy that they in turn will go and be kind to somebody else, who will be kind to somebody else. I love that, because I think you never know how many people's lives you touch and the difference you make just by trying to be loving and kind in all that you do. I just think it's if we all had that, I think the world would start to, like you say, to ripple out and to heal and be a better place.
Absolutely.
So, lovely question. Switch it completely.
I love it.
I like to keep you on your toes. What has been your biggest failure, and what did it teach you?
What's been my biggest? Oh God, now you're going to set me off. So far, motherhood. Motherhood. But it has been my biggest teacher, and I'm not done yet. And without going into too many details, it has been the thing that has pretty much torn me apart. I'm childless at the moment, by the way, for people watching. It's pretty much torn me into pieces, but it has also stripped me back to who I really am. And it's brought through strength I didn't know I had. It's brought through a lot of feminine power. It's brought through an even deeper level of compassion for myself that I never used to have. And the thing I found is, while so many times I felt like a failure, as a woman, I felt like my body's failing me, I felt so many different things around it. But at the same time, I also trust that my body knows what it's doing. I also trust that my higher self knows what it's doing. And I kind of think, well, if I haven't had kids, there's a reason for that. Or that, if they haven't come yet, then there's a reason for that. And now all this stuff's going on. I'm like, oh, I don't think I was meant to have kids in the midst of this, because I think I would have had a meltdown, to be honest. I don't think I couldn't look after myself and kids in the midst of all this. So I think there's a reason for everything. But so in that light, I don't see it as a failure. And I actually don't believe that there's really any such thing as failure. I think everything is a blessing and a lesson. Ultimately, it's just changing our perspective to look at it in the right way. And I don't, trust me, I tear my hair out sometimes. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Why are we going through this? And I've had the F you God moments as well. It's like, come on. And then when you sit back and go, and then you come through it, you go, okay, all right, I get it. That was meant to happen so that could happen. And often something better comes along. So, one thing I've also found working with people one-on-one and different groups, and especially women, is that before this global pandemic even hit, so many people, and especially women, were going through very, very difficult times already in their private lives. And a lot of them were having very unique, these are people that, definitely that I'd witnessed, were having very unique and strange situations happening that were downright traumatic, but they had no reference points to talk about it and no one to compare it to. So it wasn't like they could go get empathy from people, because a lot of people didn't understand what they were going through. And I'm finding a lot of psychics and mystics have experiences that are not really quantifiable. You know, a lot of us, you know, tangibly feel things in our bodies that are connected to past lives. You know, there's nothing in this life that's happening to cause it. You go to the doctor, there's nothing wrong with you, but your etheric body is telling you, something's going on here, you know.
Yeah.
But I've had a lot of people go through deep level trauma because there's no one to hear them. There's no one to listen to them other than the healers, really, other than the mystics. So if you're watching this and you're going through something that you're finding really, really tough, and that you're not being heard, or you're not being held, or you're not being listened to, just know that there are people that do understand, and just ask to be shown your group or your people, your soul family, and sent to the people that can help. I mean, you know, people like me and Katie who can see beyond, we often do pick up on stuff that you won't be able to find in a and doctors and the medical profession are doing a great job. You know, my dad's a doctor in Australia, so I'm not dissing them, but sometimes you need a little bit of extra help. And that's why I think coming at things from a more holistic approach and covering all avenues could sometimes really help. So I hope that made sense.
Absolutely, because there's nothing worse. I mean, what's funny about the human condition is that we all tend to go through similar, and obviously there's extremes and stuff, but most of us tend to go through similar experiences throughout our lives, you know, pain and loss and grief and heartache and stuff. And yet when you're in it, you feel completely alone, right? You feel like nobody understands you, nobody gets you, you know, it's your pain, it's your heartache. But the wonderful thing, I think, the internet has a lot of problems, we know this, but I think the wonderful thing that the internet has done is it's opened the world up so that you can, like you said, you can find your tribe. You can find people, like-minded people are out there. You just got to go and find them. You got to just ask the universe, you know, please help me find my tribe. And I swear to God, they will come in. And it might be like dribs and drabs, but you will find them. And it's such, most of my friends don't live in this country. That's the wonderful thing. But I know that they're there. And the fact that you can always reach out to somebody, you know, it's just, it helps, you know, it really, really does.
That's it. And becoming your own cheerleader also is worth its weight in gold. Really becoming your own guru, your own teacher, your own wisdom keeper, you're having your own back. Goodness, it's the ultimate.
Absolutely. So flip it again. Very positive question, because I like to keep on your toes, like I said. So your first Oracle deck comes out, like I said in the bio, next year. So on a scale of 1 to 1 billion, how excited are you right now?
Well, about a billion, because
I was hoping you were going to say that.
Well, like, you know, we're talking about the angels putting you through your paces. If you knew this, I've been working on this deck for 10 years, and if you knew how many obstacles I'd had to face to get this out, honest, if I had $1 for every one, I'd be a gazillionaire. But the fact that it's complete and it's coming out, and I can't wait to hold it in my hands. And I will say that it's not your traditional oracle deck, you know. It's an alchemical deck, and it's like a journey, it's a process. So you can either do the cards from 1 all the way through to 40, there's 40 cards, and work your way through each archangel and their lessons and their blessings. But the key behind my oracle is it's not just about a reading, and it's not just about the messages of the angels. It really is about embodying their qualities. So each card has a description of the angel, what they represent. It's got a message, so it does have the divination aspect. And then it has 2 processes, 2 guided channeled meditation processes that you can go through in order to connect with that angel as a guide and a being of love, and then to start to embrace and alchemize its blessings into your own life. And then there's a practical bit at the bottom on how you can just take practical steps in your daily life to become more angelic. Like what kind of scenario would this play out in daily life? So, and it's called the Archangel Fire Oracle because we take you through the rainbow color spectrum of all of the angels and all of the chakras, but it's ascended chakra points as well. So you've got more chakras opening. and each of those color rays, it's potent healing. If you sit and soak in those flames of the angels, it really is, it's really powerful. And I mean, that's why I think it's I've had to walk that journey myself and be initiated personally by each of them to bring that work through. It's yeah, it's been interesting, but they're so beautiful. And my illustrator Avelia, she's just done the most beautiful job. It's like I used to say, I wish I could take my visions and project them onto a screen. And she's taken my visions, and
Wow.
I've given her a really detailed brief. So all the symbolism and everything you see in there, it's what the angels showed me. It was channeled. And then I sent her all the instructions, and then she would put it all together. So it was a really beautiful collaborative experience. And my publisher was involved in sort of approving everything as well. So really gorgeous.
I can't wait to get my hands on them. I'm so excited.
I can't wait. Yeah, they're so beautiful. I just keep looking at the pictures, because she's done such a beautiful job of the illustrations, and I'm like, this is exactly how I envisaged it. It's just gorgeous. Actually, I can show you. This is I don't know if you can see her. This is Archangel Ariel.
Wow.
And this is she's on the cover. So, but they're available to pre-order now through Inner Traditions. And yeah, she's
so pretty.
So pretty.
Pretty is the right word. She's very divine. That's the right
word.
word.
She's almost nonchalant in that picture. She's very elegant. It's almost like she doesn't care. It's all right. You can gaze upon my beauty. It's she's great.
A bit like that, right? Yeah.
Darling.
Oh, bless you. So you mentioned that you connect to your inner child a lot, well, from time to time. So if you could go back to her now and actually time travel and go back to your childhood self, what would you say to her? I always have this question for people, because I think about it a lot. I think if I could speak to my younger self, I'd have so much to say. But then I think at the same time, the journey that I've been through has meant to be, and I wouldn't be who I am, where I am now, if I hadn't gone on that journey. So it's kind of like, would I stop myself? I don't know. It's one of those like, I never know how I quite feel about it. So what would you say?
Oh, I don't know. There's so much I have said. I would basically tell her how loved she is, and that she's safe. You know, I spent a lot of time as a kid feeling afraid, and you know, I think children do, but they just cope so well with it, don't they? But you know, I was afraid at school, and there were times when I was afraid at home, and there was not really anywhere I didn't feel frightened. And you know, I think I would just try to make her feel safe. I would just say, look, it's okay. You're gonna be okay. And that's how I did feel safe, really. You know, the fact that I knew I had a presence around me and could feel it. And you know, the one thing I used to suffer from all kinds of things. I used to get sleep paralysis and all sorts of things when I was a kid. There was lots of spirit activity going on, and the one thing that my mum taught me was this little angel prayer, and that was the only thing that kind of stopped it before I went to sleep. So that would always keep me safe. That would always make me feel safe. So yeah, it actually works. You know, those simple things. The minute you think of an angel or you call on them, they're there.
That is true. I mean, every morning I start my day and I ask Archangel Michael to cut my cords of fear and attachment in all directions of space and time. It's one of my little mantras that I say. And then I ask my angels to guide me, support me, help me and protect me in everything that I do. And just saying that, like, I know that they're there anyway, but for me, it draws me closer to them, not them closer to me. I feel like I'm kind of welcoming them in. I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's do our day. Come on, we'll get this. You know, it's those little things, like you say, it's touching base with them. I think it's really important. So I like that. So.
The daily practice is great. I do see a difference here. You know, I'm a bit sloppy with my daily practice, but I do see a difference if I don't do it.
You have to let yourself. That's become like a habit. Like I can't not do it now because I do it so often. It feels weird if I don't do it. I'm like, oh, don't like it. You know?
No, I always do it when I'm working with clients. I always make sure I do it. But then if I'm working at the computer, there are some days where I go, wake up, get my coffee, sit down, and then it's like, oh yeah, something's missing. Something's missing.
Exactly. So, who or what inspires you to be your best self?
Who or what inspires me to be my best self? Myself, first of all. I think I need to. Yeah. Yeah.
Should put a bet on that.
I kind of got to just, come on, girl, you got this.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, my loved ones, the people that I'm close to, the people that I'm proud of, and also my clients and the people that come to my workshops, because, you know, we have a very privileged position in the work that we do, is that we get to see people at their most vulnerable. And that takes so much courage. It really does. And when you see people open up and pour their heart out to you and really, really let themselves be vulnerable, it's quite inspiring, really.
Yeah.
You know, and it's quite a beautiful thing to be part of. It's definitely character building, and it definitely makes you appreciate who you are and what you've got, and it gives you perspective. So, you know, I think I think humanity as well, just humanity, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
We're actually really beautiful, you know. We need to cut ourselves a bit of slack. We're all doing the best we can with the tools that we have, and I think we forget that sometimes.
Exactly. I was actually thinking that today, funny enough. I had this little thought in my head that said, yeah, there are some people that annoy me, and of course there are horrible people in the world, but generally, overall, I just love people. I think people, the human spirit and the human heart are just the most beautiful, incredible things when they're given the chance to just be who they are and to flourish and shine their own light. It's just like, we are so amazing beings. And I think sometimes we forget that, you know, we get so shrouded in this fear and this like anxiety and this self-doubt, and it's like, we're pretty awesome, actually.
They are really awesome. Also, my husband, like one thing I don't know where I found him. It's like I cosmically ordered him, definitely. And I mean, don't let him know he's Mr. Perfect.
Everyone watching, don't say anything.
But he, you know, the kindness that comes from this man floors me and astounds me every day. And it's like, he just is a giver. He's just so lovely. And like, he cooks for me every night. He does the lion's share of the cleaning. He's like, we always joke, he's like my wife, and I'm the one that goes running off around the planet. But he's so kind and sweet. So I'm really blessed. And yeah, I don't know. And he's seen me definitely at my worst, and and he's, you know, just like, yeah, cool, unfazed.
What love there is, isn't it? You know, they see your best and your worst, and they still love you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's a Capricorn. They're very loyal Capricorns. It's like you know, very dependable. He's just, well, I'm air sign, so he's like my rock, and he's the salt of the earth. He really is. I need that to hold me down.
Yeah, absolutely. Find me one of them too.
Yeah, we'll put in an order for you, mate.
Absolutely. So what advice do you have for people right now? Obviously, we're still going through it. The pandemic is still going on. You know, nothing's really changed. Little bits have, but we're still living through it. So what advice do you have for everyone struggling right now watching this video?
Just be really, really gentle with yourselves. Just be really super kind to yourself, to each other as well. Like one thing I'm seeing a lot of is this very intense duality, you know, you're pro-mask or you're anti-mask, or you're on that side or this side of whatever argument, and we're being kind of pulled apart. But actually, what if we could just respect each other in each other's viewpoint? What if you could allow people to have their viewpoint, and then you have your viewpoint, and then we love each other in that, and then that's okay, so long as we're not hurting each other. You know, I think that people should be allowed to live according to their heart. So I would say, follow your heart, follow your truth, no matter what everyone else is shouting at you. And that takes courage as well, to follow your own heart and your own inner guidance. You know, sometimes the heart knows more than the brain knows as well, and it might not logically make sense to you why you feel like you have to go a certain way or make a certain choice, but follow the feeling. The feeling is always the way. You just know. Sometimes you just know with every fiber of your being. It's like if you're going for a job interview and it looks great, it ticks all the boxes, but you just got a feeling about it, but you say yes to it and you end up being miserable. It's like that. Listen to the heart, and you know, just let it be your compass, but go gently. I think more than anything, we need gentleness and love at the moment.
Absolutely, because it's just so overwhelming, isn't it? Every day you're like, I try not to watch the news. I get BBC breaking news on my phone, I get the headlines, but I try not to watch the actual news, because it just makes me feel dreadful. It makes me feel really frightened, and I think this is hard enough as it is without adding to that fear, you know. It's like,
I'm the same. I rarely watch it. If it's meant to come into my sphere of influence, someone will tell me about it, or my husband will mention it, or it'll pop up on Facebook or somewhere, but
yeah,
I don't go out of my way to watch it. It's
no,
yeah,
there's too much noise at the moment. It's really hard, I think, sometimes to find your own truth if
yeah.
you kind of buy into all of that noise. How are you supposed to know your own stuff, you know, your own connection, your own guidance, if you just, everybody else has got an opinion, you know?
Yeah.
So absolutely, it's good advice. Okay, last question, my darling. So, as you know, these interviews are called the Glow interviews, and I wanted to do that to kind of bring some light to these dark times. So, what lights you up? What brings you joy?
Oh, I love writing poetry, and that's my healing tonic. I love travel, and I just got back from Spain, so I can't complain. I'm nearly at the end of my quarantine, but even that, you know, having a taste of it, I'm so used to gallivanting around the world. I've been really, really blessed that I have been guided around the world to different sacred sites and things, and I'm feeling I really feel the call to go home to Australia, and I can't. And it's really, you know, that's what lights me up, you know, friends, family, loved ones, love, just people being good to each other, having a laugh. I think we said it in your interview on my show, didn't we? Watching a comedy, anything that makes you laugh, anything that tickles you, that really lights me up. But yeah, people inspiring each other and being kind to each other, and supporting each other. That's where it's at, I think.
I love that. I love that. And you've definitely lit me up today. So I just love talking to you. You know, it's always just the most interesting conversations. And I know that we can go anywhere. Nothing's kind of off limits. And I love that about you. You know, you're not like, you trust me to hold the space. And I think that's just a beautiful thing. So I thank you, honestly, darling, for
Absolutely. Anytime, honey. I'm so honored to come on your show.
Bless you. And please go and check this wonderful, wonderful woman out. All of her links are down here. And I'm telling you, you won't be sorry. She will change your life. She's amazing. So go and check her out. She's amazing. I have to say
You're
that.
making me blush. I'm going all warm.
She's not amazing. I have to say it twice. That's how great she is. Oh, bless you. Anyway, guys, look, we're going to shoot off now. But we send you all our love. Serious heart.
So much love.
Speak to you on the next one. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.